All right, so Fender and Thomann are going after it now. Well, it's really Thomann going after Fender at this point. From the things I've seen so far, just in clips and everything, it seems like Thomann is, I mean, they've gained a lot of fans after this. I don't know the exact details, and I'm not like super knowledgeable on this, so I was thinking we'll watch Phillip McKnight's video because he just knows what he's talking about. Him, and I like to watch Rhett Shull's takes on things as well. Maybe I'll look at his as well, but I think this video is just going to be looking over Phillip McKnight's and putting, you know, some of my opinions in there as well. I just think, especially for this situation, everybody who is into guitar or just music in general, even if you could just get the majority of people into music in general to be on the artist side rather than Fender's side for this case, it's just going to help out like a tremendous amount. I encourage people to make videos on this as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend. I'd really appreciate it. Even become a YouTube member if you want to support the channel any further. I'll catch you guys next one. Peace. All right, let's get into it here. Thomann suing Fender guitars.
Your Gear podcast.
Obviously, look, we all know what's going on with Fender and sending cease and desist to companies. It's May 15th. I talked about this on the podcast that Fender had sent some cease and desist letters, plural, to some companies. I was pretty clear on that. In fact, I said 6 companies. I thought it was funny. I didn't even say allegedly. I just said 6 companies. I was hoping that some people would pick up on some things. I can tell you to this day, no one gets subtlety. What they did is they went to Thomann's website and they went to where it says S-type guitars. They clicked that and they hit everyone who sells on Thomann. It looks like the big guys were served too, so the PRS guys. But I can definitely tell you that a lot of people were served with this publicly.
Basically just trying to hint it out to everyone. Nobody catches it.
I already told you guys PRS had been served, but PRS had not come publicly about that. That came the following week, I think. Or at least, you know, again.
Yeah, about like a week out or something like that. I think PRS said, hey, we're one of the ones that got hit by this. So, because I think Fender was actually just trying, I believe they were just trying to say that it was just European guitars and, you know, America had nothing to do with it. I don't know.
At the Wall Street Journal. I mentioned this many times that
they're trying to sell it that way, at least.
Just for theory's sake, let's just say anyone who had made a Strat style guitar at the Thomann website was priority served. So, like I said before, I'll say it again. It's Schecter, it's Sir, it's ESP, it's LSL.
I still have yet to ever try a Sir
anyone who makes a Strat style guitar that was
or not Sir,
at Thomann.
Schecter. I don't know why I said Sir.
A couple ones I don't know for sure. So that's why anything I mentioned right now, I'm just telling you. I want to just give an accolade one more time to KDH. He was the only YouTuber that reached out to me and said, hey, I want to make a video with this. Can I have the documentation? So you know.
The thing that's cool about KDH too is I feel like he always just have straight facts. And some people might actually hate that because they don't like to hear the truth. But like for the most part, at least from the videos I can say I've watched from him, he just puts out the straight facts, and I feel like a lot of people hate him for that, but there's a lot of people, that's how he grew. If you are an honest person, you will grow on YouTube.
The documentation is on our website. C&D documents. This will take you from the original letters to the responses and the responses back and so on and so on. Okay, so where are we at right now? Well, Thomann has basically put out a press release saying that they are suing Fender, and this is what they're saying. They're saying, we urge Fender to stop issuing cease and desist demands. This came from Guitar World, by the way, this article, against manufacturers, distributors, and dealers. Notice they're saying distributors, dealers, plural. Again, here's what I can tell you. It's ESP, it's Sir, it's PRS, it's Friedman, LSL, it's Schecter, it's Thomann. They went aggressive, like I said. We urge Fender to stop.
What I can say about Thomann right now is I only know so much about them. I've seen, you know, some of the videos that pop up on YouTube of them doing like any, you know, reviews. I think they have like a podcast too. I remember Rob Chapman was the one that really brought them up to me. And, you know, I think that he really did help grow like Thomann and made people realize like who they are and everything. And I know that watching Agafish, he was the one that showed me that, hey, Harley Benton is, you know, I think their brand, kind of like Guitar Center has their own brand and everything too. They're coming out with a new brand too, apparently. I don't understand. I don't understand what the CEO is doing over there, but it seems like he's trying to do good things at Guitar Center. I will say that. So all I know is Harley Benton's tied to them. I did see someone say that, I didn't know this, they are the biggest, somebody said they were the biggest music store in the world. Because I'm pretty sure somebody said that they're the biggest one in Europe, but I guess that's wrong. They're actually the largest in the world. So this is a massive thing that they're doing right here.
Stopped issuing cease and desist demands against manufacturers, distributors, and dealers, and to return to a fair, cooperative partnership. Thomann, the world's largest music retailer, is suing Fender over cease and desist. Okay, so this is where it gets a little tricky, and they go into a lot of rhetoric about Fender wouldn't have the guitars they had today if it wasn't for the fact that people were able to make guitars outside of them. They're arguing something I've actually talked about a little bit on this, that, you know, Leo Fender designed the 2-point tremolo after he left Fender. He did that with G&L, but yet Fender uses that. Obviously, Eddie Van Halen.
Rhett Schull even had a great point too, saying that, you know, Fender is using... I made this point as well. I think a lot of people did. I also compared it to violins and pianos and how people aren't going after each other for that. It's kind of ridiculous, you know, over the shape of this guitar. But he brought up the Dreadnought style guitar. Like, that is not their shape. They shouldn't be using it.
And shoved a humbucker and a Stratocaster, and now Fender uses that. That's their argument. I don't really want to go down that road because, again, I always tell you guys, whether or not you think Fender has a right to protect their IP is a subject that's important, but I don't think that's this subject, because we're not really all upset that Fender's trying to protect their IP. A lot of companies try to protect their IP. We understand it, and I think a lot of us not only understand it, but some of us even agree with it.
I think the point is, though, is that they've tried multiple times in the past. In the U.S., it's public domain. It's just like, you know, we're going after the same things cycle after cycle. It's almost like they're trying to just get it, like keep trying until they can get it somehow, which I don't understand how they could ever. But I think the CEO just needs to step down personally.
I would argue that if Fender had won their lawsuit in 2009, where they got to trademark the Stratocaster,
yes,
the Telecaster,
exactly,
and the J body, I would say a lot of us as guitar lovers, would honor that. In other words, we would agree that Fender was telling companies to knock it off.
Well, also, they didn't have all this stuff that you have today, like the communities with the internet and everything, like all these different communities and channels that have built larger communities that come together and can talk daily. That wasn't a thing back then, so that would have been the time to do it. Not now, whenever like the CEO is going to do one thing and everybody knows instantly. Like, and then he tries to come out with a speech where he's basically trying to hide it, literally starting it off saying, we're not suing anybody. Well, yeah, the thing is, you're saying we're not going to sue you if you listen to everything we say and do it. It makes no sense. It's ridiculous.
You're violating the law and their IP. We'd be like, yeah, but they did lose that. And that's why a lot of us are like, well, okay, not that we think Fender shouldn't have rights to it. Because they lost it, people made guitars. Now Fender's trying to reverse that. Thomann is basically
That's exactly
saying,
it. They're trying to literally just go back.
Let's actually have it out. We want to present our side of this to the court. You present your side. And then here's the deal. Everybody will abide by what they rule. This is a big deal for a couple of reasons. One, Thomann is about a $1.5 billion company. Fender's about a $500 million company. So you understand that technically Thoman's the bigger gorilla in this fight.
I did not know that.
You could also argue, you know, when you go, oh, well, yeah, but Fender has a much bigger parent company. This is true, and they could put money behind that too. But look, even then, you understand, Thomann is a big fight to have. The other thing is, this is the strange part that I've never encountered in the entire time. 21 years I've been in the music industry now, in the guitar industry. I've never seen this. The big deal isn't how big these two companies are that fighting. You have to understand that Thomann is Fender's customer. Fender sends them product. Thomann is the largest
I thought was awkward about this to hear.
They're basically a distribution company at the level they're at. Look, I've been to Thomann. I spent a week there. I can tell you exactly how their facility works. It is massive. I've been to, in fact, here's something I'll give you some backstory on. I've been to Sweetwater, spent 8 days there. I've been to Guitar Center's facilities. I've been to the Riverside facility distribution. I've been to their corporate headquarters. I've been to Thomann's facility. Thomann is massive. The way I explained to Thomann to Americans is, imagine what Sweetwater would look like right now if there was never a Guitar Center, and so Sweetwater had no major competitors and was just growing and growing and growing. So Thomann is a massive entity.
Is that really what it's like over there? That's kind of crazy.
Really have a lot of trouble if Thomann stopped carrying their products between all the brands. I'm not saying it would kill Fender in any way. I'm just saying that's like a financial punch. In fact, you could almost argue Thomann could have just pulled that muscle and said, hey, instead of this lawsuit stuff, we're just not going to carry Fender FMIC products. That would be pretty bad because of two reasons. One, financially, it's a hit. Publicly, it's a hit. And then you got to understand, Fender has demonstrated one thing, is that they're a big corporation, and big corporations really do care about the bottom line, and that does not help the bottom line. What damage it does do, it doesn't matter. Just the fact that it's not. Remember, Fender wants improved sales quarter after quarter. They don't want decreased sales. I was telling my wife this morning at breakfast, I go, we'll learn something real crazy if Fender is to take action by pulling their lines from Thomann. That would definitely paint a different picture than we see now. This is hypothetically, of course, that Fender would be telling us that owning the copyright on the Strat or the trademark or whatever it is they want is more valuable to them than anything else. Cease and desist in somebody, they all do it. All these companies behind me do it to each other. Like I said, out of all the people I know in this industry, I think I only know two people right now, not currently in some kind of tiff or battle or whatever, right? To some degree. So it's just that kind of industry sometimes. And I'm not here to hold everybody's feet to the fire. I don't know how to argue that in my head. What I can tell you, though, is that the way Fender has conducted this is
terrible,
horrible. If Fender was to go after Harley Benton and cease and desist them, and no one else, there are brands in this industry that I think would be like, yay, secretly, because they deal with Thomann. They'd be like, yay.
Actually great.
Look, I can't hide anything that's happened in the last 10 years on the show. I've talked about this. I was once at an event in Germany, and Pete Thorne was there, and another YouTuber asked Pete if he wanted to sit and do a review of Thomann, the Harley Benton copy of his guitar, and Pete did not want to do that, and it was visibly upset. He was, Pete is just a nice person, so he wasn't obviously angry, but he was visibly distraught. He didn't like the idea that his signature Suhr guitar was knocked off. That's the impression I got. I'm not putting words in his mouth. I don't want to. He didn't say anything. I'm just telling you how I read the situation. I looked over. He didn't look happy. He didn't do the video. That was not a hard conclusion to come to, is my point. So what I'm trying to say is, I can imagine Suhr wouldn't be like, man, they're going after Harley Benton. That sucks. But here's what's crazy.
Yeah, that sucks.
Back to
what a shame.
decisions that make no sense. They didn't just hit Thomann, they hit Suhr. They hit ESP. They hit PRS, right? They hit the small guy. Like I said, the strategy's so crazy. They hit LSL, which totally makes sense. They're too small. They can't take care of themselves. But let's go after PRS too at the same time. I think a lot of people are still confused that Fender has just been, like, as time progresses, hitting different companies. They were all hit at this.
Call me crazy, but I actually think the PRS guitars, like the Silver Sky, is one of the furthest away from, like, a Strat copy. Like, the headstock's different. If they're going specifically after the body, they have the horn right there that's carved in. Even the body shape itself it's different. So I think that's a crazy one to go after, personally. Away from each other, yeah, they look similar, but I think it's one of the furthest away from a Strat exact copy. I can actually kind of see that because the amount of comments I get when I do like a video saying, hey, this new guitar is out, people like are always saying I will wait until the Harley Benton like knockoff version of it. Like even just the PRS what's his name? Oh my gosh. Herman Lee. Why couldn't I think of that? Lee was coming first in my head. When he had his signature, I know a lot of people were commenting on my stuff saying I'll just wait till that comes out. And then they ended up doing an SE model, which was still expensive, and people were like, I'll just wait till that comes out. So it obviously, they have a large fan base saying, hey, we like what you do. They do give, from what I've heard, I've never played one, really good quality with Harley Benton guitars for what you're getting for the price. I'll put Phillip McKnight's link down below if you want to watch this by yourself as well. These are just like my thoughts and impressions watching it on, what is to basically come with all this. I'm still kind of curious to see what PRS does.